Hi, we're back again. This is Jerry Sanders, and I've been reminiscing with my grandson about the good old days performing with the Pompeian Players up in Syracuse, New York. Now, I know you're saying I don't want to hear about it again. He thinks they're great because he was a part of the group. That's partially true, but if they weren't great, they were pretty darn good. They put on shows every year for 25, 30 years. And the Lowe's Theater would have about 3,000 seats. You can fit about 3,000. And we played to full houses every night. Come on. Syracuse is not a 5 million population, but they come from all over to see the Pompeian Players. The music was great. What made it so different? Well, the group, and they started way before I joined them. I joined them in '69 doing Fiorello. But this group, when a Broadway show closed, David Merrick usually produced all these great hits. He would send the Pompeian Players, he would ship all the sets up to Syracuse. He would ship all the costumes up to Syracuse for the Pompeian Players to use in their productions. Why? Because of their reputation. The musical scores from the show sent up to Syracuse. Here, folks, we know you'll take good care of this and put on a great show, was their attitude toward the group. And I was in radio and television in Syracuse, and I did a lot of promotion for them before I ever joined them. And then one year, Father Charles decided he was going to do Fiorello. And I was talking to some of the players, and I said, "Oh, that's one of my favorite shows. We saw the show when it was running in its year and won the Tony and so forth." And apparently they told Father Charles, and he called me and said, "Thanks very much for the promotion." I said, "Well, you're very welcome." And I said, "Well, who's going to play Fiorello? Because I love the show." And he said, "We'd love to have you do the Fiorello role." I said, "Well, you've never seen me do anything." He said, "We know, Jerry. We know some of the things you've done, and we hear you every day and see you at night. The people in Syracuse all know you." And I said, "I would love to do it." And that started my relationship with the Pompeian Players. They had a crew of professionals that, for instance, when David Merrick would send the sets up to Syracuse, like Hello Dolly or Fiddler on the Roof. Let's say Fiddler on the Roof, because I was in that, and it was, with the exception of Broadway talent, when you saw that show, you were seeing the Broadway show in Syracuse. They had to, at the Lowe's Theater in Syracuse, they had to, like, cut part of the stage out because underneath the stage would be a turntable. The stage was going to have to revolve. I know, I was on it for the opening. Uh, and these guys in Syracuse on our crew, they're not professional. Yes, they are professional, because they took all the blueprints and the plans and they recreated what was on the Broadway stage with the set, a revolving stage. They recreated it in Syracuse. And then we put on our original costumes. And then you walk out when it's curtain time, and the orchestra is playing their arpeggios, the tuning up. And we get on that revolving stage, and what you do is you put your arms behind your back, you put on your very sad Anatevka look on your face, because now we're going to Russia in the old days, and you almost interlock with the actors on, I think we did get our arms in their arms, the back to the center of the wheel, and you're looking out into the audience. And all of a sudden, da 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 da, da da da, there starts the music. Everybody good luck. We love you. God bless us. And we hold on, and all of a sudden the curtain starts to go up and the stage starts revolving. And there are all the people, all the peasants looking out at the audience. The audience is roaring because the show has begun, and we all have goosebumps because the music is so great. And I know myself, I'm thinking of the thousands of people who have performed this before I'm doing it, and the thousands of people who have watched the show and get goosebumps when they hear fiddler music. And that's great. It's not just a high school group putting on a show. There, we were recreating what we saw on Broadway. Original costumes, original sets, original music arrangements for the Broadway stage, played by our 50, 40 people, 40-man orchestra. And all these musicians are members of the Syracuse Symphony, the string section. It's wonderful. So when I think back to my days with Pompey, I'm so proud that I performed with them. I don't know if they're still in existence. I don't know that. I left many years ago. Father Charles is gone. Nick Culinary, the wonderful drama director and actor, he's gone. I don't know if Mario DeSantis, who conducted the orchestra, is alive or not. Many of the performers' word got to me that we lost them. So I'm 80 years old now. I'm a relic from the Pompeian Players, but I got a note, or I think it was a note just the other day from Father Tony Tosti in Canastota. He said, "Why don't you ever talk about your days with the Pompeian Players?" Well, I am. I have more stories to come. Some are kind of funny. Some are a little bit inspiring, but I hope you like hearing about that group. It's a page of theater that's gone. By the way, not forever. Father Charles had all the shows filmed, not videoed, filmed in color. Soundtracks of all our shows. I own a couple of them. Of course, they're the ones I'm in. But what a group. There's no business like show business, and Syracuse has a reputation from a vaudeville. And this was a vaudeville theater, the Lowe's Theater, and that's where I performed. Very proud to say that. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye.
Hello again. What is this little chat going to be about? My grandson and my wife both recommended I reminisce a little bit about the theater. I was very active all my life in radio, television, and theater, live theater. I did most of my work with the Pompeian Players in Syracuse. And I just the other day thought about a moment I had. Well, it was a collection of moments. I always liked to go to the theater. Let me back up a little bit. When we put on our productions, we usually did, it was a company of about 100 people. Full orchestra. The orchestra was the Mario DeSantis orchestra, but it happened to be all of the musicians from the Syracuse Symphony Orchestra. Very learned, very experienced music pros. And we didn't do a Broadway show unless we could get the original sets and the original costumes from David Merrick or whoever had produced the show on Broadway. So when you came to see our shows, you were seeing pretty close to a legit Broadway show, the way it was performed on the boards in the theater district in New York City. And it was directed and produced by a priest, of all things, Father Charles Borgognoni. He was the chaplain at Syracuse University. he and I became very, very good friends. I loved him like a brother. And I guess he put on a show a year for maybe 30 years, and he passed away. That was it. They tried to carry on without him, but it wasn't a Pompey show without Father Charles. But one night, here's my story. One night, I always like to report to the theater for rehearsals early. And the theater was dark, meaning this was the Lowe's Theater in Syracuse. And they weren't showing a movie. We would rehearse starting at midnight for weeks and weeks and weeks. After the movies were shown and the audience went home, then the theater belonged to us. And 100 people would show up and start rehearsing for a great show. But I'd get there early. And I'd walk on the stage, and I feel very romantic when I think about this, why I love the theater. There's always a light on the stage. It's on a stand and a light bulb, a bare light bulb, no shade on it, but it lights up a corner of the stage. And as tradition goes, that light bulb is there for a reason. It is there for the theater ghosts. Ghosts. The theater ghosts. I believe all theaters have ghosts there. And when there's a performance on the stage by actors and actresses, and the orchestra has played their music, their score, that all the audience applauds and goes home. Everyone wipes off their makeup and go home. But the performance itself, the words, the music, the characters that are created on the stage, all their dialogue, everything they say, it all goes up to the ceiling of the theater and get trapped up there. It's like if you saw a movie and you were by the ceiling of a building and you're trying to get out, and push and push and nothing gives. And I think all these theater ghosts are up there after all these years, and they're still there. And if you could hear them, you would hear performances that happened 50 years ago, whether it be Shakespeare or Rodgers and Hammerstein, Cole Porter. The music, the words, the performances are all still there because they can't leave the theater and they're up against the ceiling. Isn't that a crazy thought? Well, I believe that. And I believe when I walk on a stage early, around 6:30 in the afternoon, and it's still dark except for the ghost theater light, I kind of commune with them. I stand on the stage, I look out into the audience, and it's dark. All the seats are dark. It's me and the lamp, and I commune with them. I don't say much. I say hello, I'm back, I'm here, I'll be performing tonight. Watch over me, help me with my lines. And then I listen. I just listen, and maybe I'll get an idea or a thought or a feeling of, go on, Jerry, you're going to be great tonight. You're going to be great tonight. And to me, those are the theater ghosts who are talking to me. One night I was doing that in Syracuse, all by myself, and Father Charles walked out of the wings all by himself, and he came and stood alongside me. And I said, "What are you doing here?" And he said, "You know what I'm doing here." And we didn't say another word after that. We must have stood there for 10, 15 minutes, not saying a word. I know he was communing like me with the theater ghost. Sounds crazy. You have to be an actor, a crazy actor, to understand those things, but I believe it. I still do. And if you're going to do a show someday, the ghosts are still in that theater. Go there, be quiet, and listen. That's it. Bye. Hi, everybody. This is Jerry Sanders, and I'm sitting here with my producer, and we're discussing what to discuss on today's program. And it was decided that we might do a show on demographics. That's a today word, but it's used in all different forms of society. And when you're talking about talking and reaching the public, demographics are important. You want to know who's watching. You hopefully try to find out someday why they're watching and where are they. And today we're going to talk about where are they, some of the people who watch this little silly nonsense of talking to people. The top 5 places in the world, believe me, the world, who watch this program. Number 1, naturally, is the United States. It's interesting, for instance, with the shows that I've done so far, trying to maybe just share a little time with you and share some of the things that have happened in my life. I was never a big star, never at all. But in my lifetime, and I'm 80 years old now, but in my professional lifetime, I had some very interesting uh, liaisons with people that everyone in the world has heard about. I was in radio and television. I did some theater for a while. I liked that very much, but it was later on in life. I did theater starting in college at Georgetown University. But as I got into radio and television, I had no time for theater, and not every town in the United States has live theater to participate in. But anyway, uh, I did and met some very wonderful people, very famous people, politicians, movie stars, sports celebrities. Most of my life I dealt with sports celebrities. I was a AAA Yankee Farm Club play-by-play announcer, and that was up in Syracuse. Not only did I meet the stars before they went up to join the Yankees and the major leagues, but I spent an awful lot of time at Yankee Stadium talking to the stars who I knew when they were in the minors, etc. So back and forth. And of course, when you go to a Yankee game to work, not only are you getting to know the Yankee players, but you're also getting to know the players on the other teams. When I was working down there, I'd go to cover the Yankees and got to know, not know as a personal friend, but Mickey Mantle was the closest player I got to. He and I, of course, we're going to be on a first name basis, but of course you're going to call him Mickey. But it's always nice when you're in a crowd and someone says, "Hey, Jerry, what are you doing here?" And you turn around and it's Mickey Mantle. That's how well we knew each other. We weren't friends, but we knew each other well and got along with each other and spent a lot of time together. But it started with Joe DiMaggio also at the end of his career. But I'm diverting from what we were going to talk about. The United States, most of the people who watch this live in the United States. But there are also people who watch this program who live in the United Kingdom. How about that? I've been to England many, many times, and it's funny to know that I may have passed someone in in London who actually watched my show last night. You never know in this day. There are people who watch this program who live in Canada. That's not a surprise, and that's very nice to know. I don't know how many. I didn't look at the stats that closely. But the last two of the top five are surprises to me. There are people who watch this show who live in France, and there are people, the fifth highest viewership are people who live in Brazil. How about that? In Brazil, they watch Jerry Sanders talking about nothing. It sounds like the old Seinfeld show. It's a show about nothing. But anyway, those are the top five. Now listen to this. Of the list of countries who watch this program, there are, of course, as in any list, the bottom five. I have the fewest viewers, and they are from Chile. They watch this show. People in the Philippines watch this program. This old man with white hair and bifocals. They watch him actually talk. Then there are people in Australia who watch this program, and probably includes 2 or 3 kangaroos. Who knows? Maybe they like the show better than the people. People in India watch this program. If you think you're having a special treat living in this area and watching the show, you have nothing like the thousands of viewers I have in India. And then the last 3 countries, and I'm insulted by this last one because I'm 100% Italian, but people in Italy watch this program, and they're third from the last of having the least viewers who watch this show. Next to last is people who watch this program, and they live in Poland, of all things. And very last, and because they're last, they're going to be last in unless their ratings come up. People in New Zealand watch this program. So one never knows. Now, we were also looking at demographics, and what was the program that has drawn the most viewers so far? And we've done, I forget how many programs we've done, but the most viewers for one particular program is when I talked about meeting and knowing and chatting with Johnny Mathis. Well, I'd be one of those who watched that too, because he was one of my very favorite performers and one of the nicest guys I ever met. Very, very talented, very nice, and a gentleman, Johnny Mathis. So I'm not alone in my respect for that guy. And you say, well, how many people watched that program? Well, we had at one count when they were doing it, 214 people were sitting by their computers watching me talk about Johnny Mathis. Anyway, I thought it was interesting. I thought I'd share that with you. And if you tell your friends about it, maybe we'll get up into the millions who watch Jerry Sanders talk about Jerry Sanders and his nothing life. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching.